time for us to get into our very first conversation, and this is about those New Year's resolutions, okay? Maybe you didn't punt aloud what you have set for the year that is, but maybe you've secretly written them down and you're saying, Shayla, listen, I want to achieve 1, 2, 3, and 16. However, last year, when you tried this, you noticed by February, you were just like, "Ugh, you know what, it's okay. We don't need to chase these. It's okay. They will come to me. I will manifest them." Whatever story you told yourself to avoid the reality that you let your guard down. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, you do not want this to happen this year, we are going to be touching base with an individual who will help us develop the necessary discipline, the necessary mindset, but I also think a genuine understanding of why it is this continues to happen year on end. And this is hypnotherapist as well as endurance athlete Liezel van der Westhuizen, who joins us this evening on the line. Liezel, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to African Diaries.
Shayla, so great to chat to you. And I want to know from you, have you set a goal for this year?
Absolutely. All of them, all 19, 20 of them, I am on it. Okay.
And it's amazing how we want to set all these amazing big goals and 19 of them, but sometimes our brain just gets so overwhelmed that you, like you said earlier, in Feb, you just go, okay, it's okay. I'm just going to manifest them and just hope for the best.
Liezel, what's interesting about just letting go of the goals is that you do get overwhelmed, right? It's not 2 that you're setting, it's 19. And with the 19, they require different aspects of you to be in full speed, is how you feel. You feel like if I'm setting a goal to be fit, then from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, I need to show up at the gym with a consistent energy, with consistent performance. And I think that mindset already begins to overwhelm you. Let's unpack the mindset that falls prey to giving up.
And that's the big thing. The big thing is consistency and just showing up. But the other thing is your brain gets exhausted with all these goals. Shelley, let's say you've got 19 goals. One is to get fitter, one is to save more, one is to be more present. And your brain is just going into this overload, going, I have to be fit, I have to be more present, I have to save, and I've got to do work, and I've got every day other things that I have to achieve, work goals, life goals, business goals. And what happens? Your brain goes into fight and flight mode. It gets overwhelmed and then it starts to shut down, so that by Feb, you already go, okay, I've been to the gym twice this month, and then next month I'll go twice. Instead of just breaking it down to really small, doable goals, what does fitter look like to you? What is fitter in a diary manageable for you? What will work with your work schedule, working late at night? Is it easy to get up at 4 in the morning to train? That's not realistic. So it's about breaking those bigger goals down into smaller, manageable goals that doesn't overwhelm your brain. Because when you're overwhelmed, then the brain switches off. Then that avoider syndrome sets in. You go, I'm just going to avoid doing that. Or you just start to think that you're a failure for not achieving those goals. And that's not the case. The goal was just too big for your brain to take in right now. And if you had to break it down into a monthly goal, what is really achievable for you?
Liezel, I love how you say that we should break these goals down, right? Sort of compartmentalize them until we get to the end game, which is what we desire to see. However, we live in an age where we've been taught that things can come at the click of a button. You think of connectivity. You and I are talking, and you are based wherever you are at this very moment. And it was a click of a button that assisted us.
Exactly.
And so how do we navigate the accessibility that's been afforded to us, and then scale our goals correctly within that frame? Because if I want to lose weight in 2 weeks, there are a few things that can get me there, Liezel, is the truth.
Yeah,
But
of course there is.
I'm not going to run towards that. And so how do I balance all that mentally?
And that's the big thing. It's about balancing it mentally and being realistic. You want to lose 5 kilos in 2 weeks because you saw someone on Instagram or on TikTok doing that. Is that realistic? Is that a dietitian or a nutritionist that set those guidelines? What's that person's age? What's that person going through? What's that person's life plan? And these are all the things we need to look at. We need to look at our own goals. So in 2 weeks, is it possible to lose 5 k's? Probably if you don't eat, but is it sustainable? No. Will you pick up weight? So thinking realistically and getting the help we need. So if it comes to losing weight, making sure we speak to the right medical professional and breaking it down. How's that going to be possible and realistic? Going to the gym, and we know we don't like going to the gym. Why are you setting yourself a goal to go to the gym if you do not like going to the gym? Perhaps going for a walk is more your thing, and setting those really realistic goals that you can do on a day when you are really inundated with work, with life, with everything, and still going, actually, I really want to enjoy going for a walk. I enjoy it. Let me do it on a day where everything is overwhelming. So that's the big thing about setting a goal. A goal must be manageable on a day where everything could go wrong, or a day that's exceptionally busy in your life, where you can still look forward to that goal, where it doesn't feel overwhelming, where you don't feel the pressure, uh, and just be more realistic when it comes to that. So TikTok's great for balance and for ideas and stuff, but for balance and for overwhelm with your brain, it can be overstimulating. You can oversee what other people are doing, which is not realistic for your goal and for what you need right now in your life and what's manageable right now for you.
The voice there of Liezel van der Westhuizen joining us this evening, and we are unpacking goals and the reality that New Year's resolutions don't see the light of day by February. And what's interesting is that research shows that between 80 and 90% of those New Year's resolutions that are set collapse within weeks. We're going to allow Liezel to further unpack the headspace that we ought to have when it comes to setting these goals. But for now, let's take a quick breather.
African Diaries, weekdays, 10 till midnight.
20 minutes before 11 p.m. Central Africa time. According to neuroscience and mental fitness coach, hypnotherapist and endurance athlete Liezel van der Westhuizen, the real issue isn't laziness or lack of discipline when it comes to those set goals in January that we don't see to finish throughout the year 2026. We need to talk about mental bandwidth, is what Liezel says. And she joins us on the line to further unpack this. Liezel, I want to talk about the context or the concept of mental bandwidth. What is that?
That's your capacity to handle everything that gets thrown at you. So if you've got a busy day and your car breaks down on the way to work, you break a nail, you drop a glass, and you just feel like you're overloaded and you're gonna explode. That is your mental capacity on how you deal with those stressful situations. So it's about being in emotional control of everything that could go wrong. And this being said, if you lose your cool, it's okay. It's just your response time to that situation and how you respond to that. And there's days where you have really great response times where your brain is just calm and you feel as if you can manage everything. And where everything just feels overwhelming. And it's all natural. We all go through all these things. Even mental fitness coaches go through that. So just having that capacity to deal with what life throws at you and bouncing back quicker.
Now, Liezel, in this particular context, we often drowned, if you will, drowned by shame, right? So we think of our failed attempts at these goals and we chuck them away, and we use pride to sort of cover the shame that we're carrying around. How do we navigate that?
And it's shame, and we've got these voices in our head that go, oh, Liezel or Shayla, you weren't good enough to go to the gym every day. Why did you even bother? You're a failure. And we keep hearing these voices in our head saying these things, judging us and judging those circumstances. And just knowing that you're actually not a failure. It's not shame. Your brain is just overwhelmed with the 19 or 39 massive goals that you've set yourself. And realistically looking at smaller goals monthly gives you that easier way to track what you want to do, and gives your brain the capacity to go, wow, the goal isn't that big. I don't have to feel that overwhelmed. I don't have to fear failing the goal, I can look at how to break it down monthly, how I can break it down in manageable bite size. And then just knowing that if you failed at the goal doesn't make you a failure. It just means that your goal needs a readjustment. Maybe it needs a smaller step. Maybe you need help somewhere. And it also allows us, remember, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the opportunity for us to see, why did the goal fail? Where do we need help? Where can we go? And how can we make it easier for ourselves in the next month and the next month? So it's just about those bite-sized, manageable chunks when it comes to the goal setting.
Liezel, I want to get into, and I'm asking this question because I'm thinking of context. I want to get into setting goals and when the correct time avails itself, us knowing when to set these goals. Because I don't think January is the month. I really don't.
I agree with you. No, I agree.
When should we set these goals?
I think January is just so overwhelming. There's so much that we are facing in Jan. We're coming out of December, where financially January always feels like a strain. Kids are going back to school. Everyone's going back to work after holidays. You're feeling overwhelmed. A good time would be when you're relaxed and works for you. Remember, a goal doesn't have to be from January to December. A goal can be set in Feb to March, March to April, April to May. Your goals are your goals. You set them when it suits you and when you are feeling relaxed. So it's about picking that one priority that suits you, that matters over everything else, that clear goal that you've got the intention in mind. And remember, if the goal feels too heavy, your brain then goes into overload and you feel resistant to it. So then breaking it down to the smallest version of something that you can do consistently and setting it when it suits you, when you feel it's the right time to set that goal. If you think you're going to go to gym every single day in January and you know you're not because you've got school runs, you've got kids, you've got work commitments till late at night, then don't set those goals. Then say to yourself, I'm going to set some time aside in Feb to set that doable goal for March to April, April to May, and break it down. There's no right or wrong way of setting a goal for a year. It can be realistically and right for you at this time.
I want to talk about the saboteur mindset versus the sage mindset, because I really do want to tackle the voices that we hear. So if Shayla says in January, I'm going to set these when I'm relaxed, there's a voice that's going to come and say, Shayla, you're being lazy, right? You're not confident in yourself. You don't believe in yourself, and sort of attacks your identity. And so I want to talk about how we can move from the sabotaging mindset to one that is sage, that is sound, that is calm.
And that saboteur mindset, we all have those voices in our head. I've got a client that calls that voice the negative voice in his head, Gordon Ramsay, because it's so critical of him the whole time. And when you call it out and you go, stop, that's not me thinking, that's the saboteur voice in my head. It also just allows you that moment to recognize that this is something negative, and allows you that moment to just pause and go, is this helping me? Or is this making me feel more stressed? And what is going to get me into that calm sage mode? Is it realistic for you in Jan to set those goals because everyone else is setting goals? Are you being lazy by not setting goals? No, you're not. You're being realistic and allowing yourself that moment to go, you know what, I'm being realistic. I actually don't have the mental capacity right now to set the goals. Doesn't mean I'm lazy. I've got a full diary. I'm working late night shifts. I've got to get up early in the morning. I'm feeling exhausted. Let me give myself some space, breathing room. Maybe it's the third week in Jan. Maybe it's next week. Maybe it's the end of Jan. And just quieting that voice. The biggest challenge I say to people is count how many times you're negative to yourself versus how many times you uplift and praise yourself in your head during the day. And once you start recognizing that, you'll start recognizing that saboteur and that sage voice, which is helping you and which is harming you.
Liezel, lastly, let's talk about momentum without mayhem. That's your campaign that speaks to a softer, smarter way of achieving success. Tell us more.
I think it's about being realistic for everyone. And I want everyone to understand that it's okay. If you don't even have a goal in Jan, just because everyone else is setting resolutions and everyone else is setting goals, doesn't mean you have to be where everyone else is. And having that pause in that moment and being kind to yourself and go, right now, I'm just going to pause. I'll think of the goal when I have that capacity and not getting into that whirlwind of setting too many goals, of being hard on yourself, of being over realistic and then exhausting yourself. And then that whole spiral of the saboteur brain going, you're not good enough, you're failure, it's a lack of discipline. If your goal needs motivation, it's too big. If it needs consistency, it's realistic. And it's about remembering that an overloaded brain is exhausted and you're not going to get to that goal. And just remembering that it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to start again. And it's okay to reset your goal every month. Just be kind and be gentle to yourself.
Liezel, for those who are listening right now and they're saying, I hear you, but I want to join the pack. Okay, I want to be part of the campaign. I also want to put my claws in. I want to, proactively sort of allow myself to grace into 2026 as opposed to following the rush. Where do they find you and where do we find the campaign?
Well, you can find the details on LinkedIn under my name, Liezel, Liezel Online, Liezel Online. That's easy enough. And I'll be sharing tips and advice every single day about how to reset those goals, how to be kind to yourself, how to bounce back when you think a goal has failed, and allow yourself that momentum to gradually grow towards that goal. So find me on LinkedIn.
Liezel, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Shayla.
The voice there of a hypnotherapist as well as endurance athlete. That is Liezel van der Westhuizen joining us and telling us, listen, it's okay to set your goals in February because January comes with its own worries. So maybe ours is to wait for the month of February. I don't know. If you are thinking to yourself, Shayla, listen, I'm not getting ahead of the year. I'm not having a full punchy start to my year. And I don't think that that's the best way to go. Please do find us on WhatsApp. Let's have a conversation about it. +278 328 6684.